It's the G.T.O podcast, episode whatever. And today we got Sam here, as always.
Yep.
We got a very special guest. What's your name, sir?
I'm Aries.
That's good. Alright, tell me a little bit about yourself before we get into this.
Alright, I go to Ben Franklin High School. I'm the president of the GSA, the Gender and Sexuality Alliance. I'm an IT club.
Alright. Pretty interesting, and GSA is what we're going to focus on today. Because in lieu of YouTube enforcing this new law about not having controversial content, well, I'm going to test that out. So let's talk about gender. More importantly, the LGBT community. Because that's what you specialize in, I'm guessing. You are the president of that club.
Yeah.
So let's start off something simple, something broad. What is the state of the LGBT community from your eyes?
I think that a lot of people try to be inclusive, but a big issue with the LGBT community is that it's not inclusive enough of people who aren't straight. Like asexuals, a lot of the time, for example, are excluded from the community on account of they're not in a same-sex relationship.
That's odd. Why would that? Why?
So an asexual, right? They don't want to be in a sexual relationship with anybody, and a lot of people who are in same-sex relationships think that they view the LGBT community as a safe space for people who do face that discrimination because of the relationship that they're in. And the asexuals, they face a lot of other discrimination, but just not that specifically.
Alright. Well, I was curious about asexual people. Like, do they not feel sexual drive at all? Like, what's up with that?
So different people experience it in different ways, but the base definition of asexual is that they don't feel sexual attraction toward other people. So while they might enjoy sex, they might masturbate, they're not gonna see a person and think, oh, I want to go have sex with them because of how they look.
Alright. Well, as a president of GSA, what are you doing personally to propel the LGBT community forward in our little community here?
Well, a big thing that I'm actually focusing on in the school, we're trying to push to get rid of the gendered bathroom signs. So our bathroom signs, like most bathroom signs in America, one sign says men and one sign says women, and the bathrooms are right next to each other. And in the men's, there's 2 stalls and 2 urinals and a sink and a soap dispenser and a paper towel dispenser. And then in the women's, there's 4 stalls and a nicer sink and a nicer soap dispenser and then the same paper towel dispenser. And we want to get rid of the signs because not everyone who is a man can use a urinal, and not everyone who is a woman can't. And at the moment, there are no laws in Louisiana defining which bathroom you're allowed to use. So I've started using the one marked women exclusively while at school, just to kind of make a statement.
So has any authority ever caught up with you, like saw you doing this?
No, but Dr. Pat, the principal, knows that I do it. He knows we're trying to get the bathroom signs changed, and he's very sympathetic to our cause.
So everything's cool with it right now? Like, there's no girls looking at you weird, or?
No. Not so far.
I mean, as long as he doesn't try anything, I don't see why they would care.
I mean, I think I'd be a little jarred if I just see a dude in the bathroom.
Here's something interesting. I've had maybe 3 conversations in a bathroom in my life, and 2 of them were in the women's bathroom at Franklin within the last week.
Speaking of weird bathroom stuff, the other day I saw a dude laying on the ground, just on his phone. Like, I'm pretty sure he's sitting in a puddle of piss right now, just on his phone. Like, what is? Anyway,
gotta get your priorities straight.
I mean, considering it's the Franklin bathrooms, probably the cleanest place in there.
I'm like, are you okay? And like,
depends on which bathroom it is.
Yeah, true.
That definitely was not clean. That's the shitty bathroom. Anyway, how do you feel about sports organizations like the NCAA and the NBA? They're putting out events out of North Carolina because of that law that you're referencing.
Yeah.
So you feel like that's the best way they're doing it? Like you're okay with the way they're doing it?
Yeah, I think they made the right choice in not giving intolerant states their patronage, their revenue, because states make a lot of money when a sports organization holds a event in that state, or a city can make a lot of money in that city, and so it really gives the government some reason to get rid of these bigoted laws, as opposed to just if nobody did anything.
It really lights a fire under them, I guess.
Yeah.
They're losing that tax money, sweet tax money. So, is there any other discriminatory legislation on the books from any state?
There's lots. You still can get kicked out of the army for identifying as transgender or transsexual. Which a lot of people don't think that happens. If you're in what the government sees as a same-sex relationship, you're still not allowed to adopt.
Really?
So even if you're in a heterosexual relationship, if one of the partners is transgender or transsexual, the government sees that as a same-sex relationship, and they're not allowed to adopt a child.
Is that a state law or a federal law?
Federal law.
Jeez.
Yeah. Gays still aren't allowed to donate blood.
Because they might have AIDS, obviously. That sucks.
At the time, that probably sounded like an idea, but how have we not?
Even so, when the pulse shooting happened in Orlando, gays were allowed to donate blood for like a week, only if they were being given to the pulse victims, because their blood's already tainted.
Yeah, gays can have gay blood.
Right.
Who thought this was a good idea? Like, you can get married, but you can't donate blood, can't adopt children, can't...
Well, here's a fun thing. According to Louisiana state legislation, two men cannot have sex with each other.
Because of the sodomy laws?
Anti-sodomy laws never got taken off the books, but they did get ruled unconstitutional. So, if the state were to secede, gays would not be allowed to have sex.
I mean, on one hand, those laws protect against, like, violent sodomy, but...
Well, rape is still illegal.
Just reword it. Like...
Well, Sam, you bring up, like, a good point going back, like, good question. So, do you see, amongst party lines, like, a leniency towards, like, LGBT rights, like Republican to Democrat? Is there different policy?
Isn't Trump a good friend of the minorities and the gays?
Minorities and the gays. Obviously, Democrats are more liberal.
Shout out to them.
Democrats have always, not always, but since LBJ, they've advocated for less government regulation of social issues and more government regulation of business. And the Republicans are the other way around. So, you've got... I mean, I wouldn't say, like, Republicans are against gays, but the Republican Party platform definitely has some issues that needs to work out with where it stands on LGBT issues.
So they don't have a uniform thing, like, opposed to the Democrats, where, like, they're uniformly, like, for that? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think you can say every Democrat or every Republican is for anything, because some people are going to say, oh, I'm with this party because I like their view on gun control and taxes. And then other people are going to say, oh, I like their social reform. And then, so different people obviously are going to have different opinions, and they can, even within the party. So two people might have the same opinions on every issue and be in different parties because they see one as more important than the other.
Makes you, having that, like, so nuanced between the parties, it makes me mad sometimes. Like, why do you have a two-party system? I think I just, like, why can't we just... Well, yeah, you need that support. Poor Gary Johnson would never be able to get in that office. But, I mean, just that sucks though. Like, the best candidate probably will not get in. just the one that has the most backing. And that's kind of disheartening as a patron of democracy.
Well, I mean, best candidate is very subjective.
Speaking of politics, did y'all hear Hillary has pneumonia?
Yeah.
And that makes her unfit for the presidency?
You seen them
Apparently,
polls? You saw
yeah.
those 538 polls? Like, she gone way down. She's like 60% support.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
And in AP government class, our teacher showed us that, according to our own projection, so it might not be accurate, but they're one state away from like either one. So like if they take Pennsylvania, I think.
Yeah, that's what Baby Gon said.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Pennsylvania could flip the election.
Yeah. Or could it be Florida as well, or no? Or is it too small?
I think right now Pennsylvania has the highest chance of flipping the election.
Yeah, because they got 20, I think.
But yeah. But Florida could still make a difference.
Okay, have bad days ahead of us, boys. But speaking of politicians, are there any prevalent gay ones out there?
Nope.
No.
Not that I've heard. Or at least not in America.
Oh yeah.
But apparently Gary Johnson was on board with gay marriage before Hillary was, which isn't hard, but it's kind of impressive.
Well, how late has Hillary been on board?
Earlier than Trump, like.
So it was after the Supreme Court ruling by, I think, 2 months or so. I'm not sure how long, but it was after the Supreme Court ruling that she was finally on board with gay marriage.
After it was politically acceptable.
After it was legal already.
Yeah.
She's like, alright, sure.
Do we really want her in office? Like, come on.
I don't want anybody in office. Let's just go 4 years without a president and see how things turn out.
Now, could we revive FDR and bring him back to like give him a 5th term? Anyways.
Or let him just finish his 4th.
Oh, I thought he did all of them.
No, he died.
He died like a year into his 4th?
A year and a half or something like that.
Yeah. Also, another law that I hate. Why is there a limit on the term you get? Like, if
Because we don't want like a dictator or anybody getting too much.
But isn't the Congress so limiting in the presidential power?
There should be a limit on the Congress term. There should be a term limit on Congress, if anything, because the president has like hardly any power. Let's be honest.
Unless they get everything to line up with them perfectly, which is
it's not going to happen.
Yeah, they'd have to dominate both houses of Congress and also be the president.
Yeah, the reason everyone always bring up is because they'll have dictatorship. But if we're all voting for these people, it's not a dictatorship.
But like, take Russia, right? They cast their poll and everybody votes. They just keep voting for Putin for some reason.
At 106%.
Yeah.
Well, then they got something a little fishy with those numbers over there. But,
yeah.
I mean.
Well, I'm pretty sure everyone loved FDR though.
We also have issues like Al Gore won in 2000.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
What are you gonna do?
Well, I'm just gonna sit here and take it and be unsatisfied American. Any of y'all moving to Canada any days? I might. It's pretty cold up there, anyways. Let's move on to media. So, how do you feel about transgender people and bisexual people in particular? Are they really prevalent in media and their representation, like in TV shows or anything like that?
There's a fun thing. I heard one of the officers from last year in the GSA. She said, for some reason, whenever you see a bisexual on TV, they don't like labels. Because whenever you're watching a show, if somebody says, I don't really like to label myself, that person's a bisexual. Almost every time. And you don't see a lot of trans representation in the media. I can think of one notable character, Vernia Cox's character from Orange is the New Black, and that's it, really, that I can think of off the top of my head.
Are you satisfied with it? Is it okay? Is it offensive?
I mean, I'm not offended, but I think that it's not like accurate, representation in TV should be at least similar to what you see in real life. And a lot more people than one person from every show I can think of, one person altogether, are transgender. Like, I can name 4 trans. Obviously, I won't, but I could name 4 trans people I know in my everyday life that I see a couple times a week.
Yeah, it's definitely not accurate because need to be more gay people. Need to be more Confederate flags according to down here. And need to be
There
I think
aren't any Confederate flags though.
Around my place.
Those aren't the real Confederate flag. But that's another.
Oh, you talking
issue.
about like the design, or are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about the design.
Well, I'm talking about the sentiment
That's
still
the
there.
second. Well, yeah, the sentiment. Yeah.
I found like by my grandfather's house, like there's a bunch of old white people on the back of his car is like a picture of a gun and it says it's a fundamental right with a Confederate flag on his car. So I know where he stands. I just want to walk on his side of the street. Anyways,
The Confederate flag is literally treason. Flying the Confederate flag is supporting not the U.S. government. Supporting a government that was at war with the U.S. the last time it existed.
yeah, we can brush that right under the rug because some people still think it's okay.
I vote that we arrest everyone who still flies a Confederate flag and hang them for treason.
That would just be confirming their fears.
But they're
Yeah.
traitors.
Uh,
They don't support the U.S.
Technically,
government.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with you in sentiment, but we don't want to make them think that they were right.
Fair.
what do you mean they were right?
Well, because like they think, oh, the Democrats or the other guys are all police states and
We're gonna take away our rights.
take away our guns, our rights,
Yeah.
But isn't it the other
stealing
way
our
around?
women, taking
though?
our jobs.
Yeah.
It seems that the Democrats are a lot more liberal. Obviously, they want to give you the exact opposite. They want to give you liberty, and the Republicans kind of like.
Nobody thinks that rationally when it comes to politics.
I just don't get it. Do they not think? Like I barely know anything about politics.
who are
That's all I know.
Who are the 2 big candidates right now?
Um,
And that should answer your question about whether or not they think.
Jeez. What happened? What went wrong, Sam?
Most people are voting this year because they don't want the other person to win.
Yeah.
Shouldn't
Most,
it be
most
like that
Hillary
every year?
supporters vote for Hillary because they don't want Trump. Most Trump supporters are voting for Trump because they don't want Hillary. It shouldn't be like that. It should be, oh, I'm voting for this candidate because I support this candidate, not because I just hate the other one.
Yeah, like when Obama won, it was less about I don't want Romney or McCain to win. It was Obama's got some ideas, let's go for that.
Didn't Barack Obama win? I know against McCain it was like 52 point something against 47 point something. Well, how was it against Romney? Do you remember? Was it close?
Probably about the same.
That frightens me because the only reason why it was close was because they had high amount of black people voting. So like if we didn't have, if like those black people were apathetic as ever, have a whole different world. Like imagine Barack Obama was white and he had the same ideas. What a world. Anyway, what's another question I have? How many people would you say? I think this is a fallacy. I don't really think this, but I want to clear this up. Do people have a choice in their sexuality, or is it you're born with it? So like when I'm 13, I was straight at one point, but now I'm choosing to be gay. How is that realistically?
So I think that you choose your label.
Mm-hmm.
I can choose to identify as bisexual or pansexual or polysexual, and they all have similar definitions as far as who that means I'm attracted to. And I can choose to identify as any one of those things if that's what I feel I am. But you don't choose who you're attracted to. You see somebody and then you're attracted to them.
Tell me about it.
Regardless of what you choose to identify as. So I wouldn't say you choose your sexuality, but you certainly choose how to define it.
Alright. Well, can you give me an example of that then? Because I don't really understand what you're saying in terms of labeling yourself.
Okay, so bisexual, the definition, the most widely accepted definition, because everybody will give you a slightly different definition. The most widely accepted definition is attracted to one's own gender and one other gender. But there's also, some people will tell you it's attracted to 2 genders, or 2 or more, or your own and then 1 or more others. But polysexual means attracted to more than 1 gender. And then pansexual means you feel sexual attraction regardless of gender. And every label means something different to each person.
What I don't understand is, what's the point of having all those labels? Because if those words, the different the different syntax and diction, have different implications to me. Like, I'm attracted to more than one gender, but not both genders. Am I talking about?
You're stuck in the gender binary. So the gender binary is there's male and there's female, and that's it. But in reality, the gender binary itself is a racist, sexist, homophobic social construct. There's more than just the two genders. And people who aren't of European descent, or now Americans, have had other genders in their society for centuries, even millennia. So, like 1,000 years ago, before Christopher Columbus and all those other white dudes from Europe came over and killed everybody, there were several notable Native American tribes who believed in a third gender, or who believed you could be both genders at the same time, or neither gender. So there's no so that's why pansexual is an important term, because being attracted to men and women doesn't necessarily equate to being attracted to everyone regardless of their gender. And so a polysexual might be attracted to men and this third gender and then agender people, but not specifically women. And so a bisexual could be attracted to just men and this third gender, and then pansexual would be attracted to, not necessarily attracted to all of those people, but they could be. They have the opportunity, I guess.
Well, the reason I bring it up, because when you bring up pansexual, people are like, "Oh, you like to have sex with dogs?" And that's how the people on the internet are. That's what
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
Although the example I heard was goats, because the Greek god Pan was half goat.
Oh, right.
But Pan means all.
Or across.
Yeah, but it doesn't... I mean... So, something a lot of people, dissenters of the LGBT community, need to understand: a sexuality and a kink are not the same thing. A kinkster does not belong in the LGBT community. Someone who is into BDSM, for example, doesn't necessarily belong in the LGBT community if they're straight and cis.
Who's drawing that connection? I never thought it was two the same thing.
Yeah.
Pedophiles are drawing that connection mainly.
Because they want to.
I'm not joking, actually. There's this group of people. They call themselves the virtuous pedophiles, and but what they mean is, even though they feel that sexual attraction toward children, they don't act on it.
Okay.
And they view this not acting on it as being virtuous. Although I would argue that not having sex with children is something you're supposed to do.
That's a baseline
regardless
thing.
of virtue.
Like, I could kill you, but I'm not doing it, so I'm a great person.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So one of them, a couple decades ago, coined this term, GSM, and it stood for gender and sexual minorities. And he thought that it would be a great alternative to LGBTQIAAPPP+, because that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
And LGBT is just not inclusive. And he thought this was inclusive. The problem was, he also included himself as a straight pedophile under that umbrella. And that doesn't really sit well with most members of the LGBT community.
Doesn't sit well with anybody.
So that's why we have to be careful how we define the community, because there's other acronyms that people want to use, or initialisms, or whatever you want to call it, that people want to use to define the community, but you have to be careful of the words you choose, because some there's always going to be somebody who wants to hijack your community for their own purposes that don't line up with what the community was founded for. A great example of that would be the NRA, right? The Republicans who are all about gun control think the NRA is, the savior that's going to stop the Democrats from stealing our guns. But if you actually go back to the 50s when the NRA was founded, it was about teaching children how to use guns so they don't accidentally kill themselves, which is a great mission statement.
Mm-hmm.
But then a handful of people who happened to make it up to the board of directors decided, you know what, we're going to just ruin this organization. And they made it all about stopping gun control.
I don't get that. Like, what changed? What changed there? Like, something happened? Did somebody kill somebody else on accident or something? I think that's
a couple people misinterpreting the broader mission statement as...
Well, that's a shame. Cause I think that'd be a great thing. Like, we had like a shooting range at school, and that'd be pretty cool.
They used to do that in like the
shooting range
80s.
in my old school.
Yeah, well, we went to a military school, so it was a little different.
How often did you like do military type training at your school?
Never.
Define military type. I mean, we did drill practice. Like, I did anyway, like a couple times a week. But most kids did it maybe like 3 times a quarter.
So what was it going into? Like, were you applying to like a certain thing in the military? Like, did you know what you wanted to do at that point?
No, it was at high school. They can't make you sign away
your life
4-year contract to the Army as a high schooler because you're a child. You can't sign a legally binding document. But like in college, if you join the ROTC, you have a commitment to be in the military for a number of years afterward.
I thought there was a junior ROTC though.
Right. High school, it's junior ROTC. But in college, it's ROTC.
Alright. Well, I got one more question, I think, around our community. Because I know maybe largely it might be different, but at least from what you're seeing, do you know any people that are still afraid to come out? And as a whole, are people still afraid to come out?
Yeah. People are always going to be afraid to come out because they feel different. And coming out as different things, can make different amounts of fear in different people. Coming out as asexual, I think, can be a lot harder than coming out as gay because an asexual person is made to feel like they're broken because this, especially in this society, we're so sex-centric that if you don't feel that sexual attraction to all these people that society tells you should, then you feel like you don't belong. You feel like you're not part of this community. And a lot of people, especially young people, who are asexual and maybe don't realize it yet, they feel like, they're broken and they don't have anywhere where they belong because the asexual community doesn't get a lot of, coverage or representation or anything. And coming out as gay is always going to be hard, especially if you live in the South. So, like, I'm still not out to my parents, for example. That, I have to be careful, like, what I say in school and who I come out to, not my parents, because if they tell my parents, that could be an issue. Like, Mr. Swanson, he's my English teacher and he's also the sponsor of GSA, and I had to tell him ahead of time before parent night last month that I'm not out to my parents so he didn't accidentally slip up and say something.
So I kind of forget sometimes who is who. So do you live with your parents?
Yeah, I live with my mom and my stepdad.
Alright. So why would they disown you if you're like gay or whatever? Or why the fear?
My family doesn't talk a lot about political issues, and it's less about I know how they'd react and it'd be negative, and more about I don't know how they'd react and it could be negative. And I just I don't want to take the chance because I have a supportive community at school that supports me in as far as that goes, and I I don't feel like I need it so much at home as well. So it's just, I think, safer.
So eventually, don't you plan on getting married, right?
Yeah.
So aren't your parents gonna be there? Won't they know then?
No, probably not.
Well, you don't like
I
your
mean, they'll
plans?
probably know eventually, but they probably won't be there for my wedding.
Oh. Well, that's sad to hear.
Speaking of Franklin and coming out, have you noticed a problem there with people being afraid to come out?
I know some people who aren't out to everybody, that are out, like, to me and a small group of their friends. I know a lot of people are out within the GSA, and I don't know how many of them are out outside of the GSA, because we're always really careful not to out anybody who doesn't want to be outed. So we never talk about, oh, this person is in GSA and they're this sexuality. We never like name names.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because we don't want to accidentally out somebody to somebody they didn't want to be outed to. I can think of a couple people who I know who are out, not to everybody. And I think it's, for the most part, again, that fear of it making it back to home. Not out of fear of within the Franklin community, but of it making it past that.
I really can't relate. I guess that makes sense because I'm a cis guy, but like even like it's something else. I think I feel like I disappointed people so many times. I just don't care what people think anymore. So I don't know. Well, you have any more questions about gender, Sam?
No, you pretty much covered it.
Well, I feel like I guess man and woman, like the gender gap and all that good stuff, it counts as gender. But I'm gonna put that under sex, and I don't really feel like talking about that because I think those problems solve themselves at this point. Unless, do you care about that really?
Did you just say the gender gap will solve itself?
I feel like it really will. Because, well, give me what you think about it. How are we going to solve this one?
As it is right now, these problems will not solve themselves unless you consider one side of the issue being murdered solving itself.
Which side?
It depends on who gets the guns first.
Alright. Because I think that makes a difference about whether it's solved or not.
Well, that doesn't solve the problem. It makes it even worse.
Okay, if all
because
the people...
how are we going to reproduce then? You just killed their species. Good
Not
job.
really, I mean...
Do we need to reproduce?
Yeah.
Do we really need that?
That's the whole point of life.
Not really.
It is.
Yeah, but...
Biologically,
we're the
yeah.
only things on Earth that want to do anything else besides have sex all the time, really. I ain't reproduce.
That's true. We're one of the 3 animals known to have sex for pleasure.
Well, yeah, so I mean, we do it because we do it besides reproduce. I mean, besides reproducing. I mean, don't most animals just do it just to have kids, just instinctually? I would say, yeah. I mean, you know more about animals than I do, so.
Speaking of the zoo...
On a lighter note, get rid of that gender talk. So you work at the zoo, right?
Yeah.
So my question is, what's the most interesting animal there? Tell us a little bit about it.
Most interesting animal there. It's hard to pick a favorite animal. I mean, there's so many that I work with. I can pick a least favorite animal
What is it?
in a few seconds. I hate the... now, this is my opinion, not Audubon's opinion, but I hate the guinea fowl that we have.
Google that for me. I don't know what that is.
I think they're these little birds. They're like African turkeys. They're smaller, though. They're just ugly, and they're stupid. And I can't forgive that.
Well,
you
yeah.
can be ugly or stupid, like as an animal.
That's about it?
Yeah. You can be ugly or stupid. You can't be both.
Yeah.
Well,
As a
Mark.
person, yes.
Like, it took... I don't know, man. I don't like them.
How's the aquatic? Do they have like aquatic things at the zoo?
We have sea lions, and we have some fish in the swamp exhibit, alligators, things like that. We have the river otters.
I remember going. I haven't been to a long time. I remember seeing the alligators, and I was afraid because I was a little kid.
Yeah,
That's my.
I've fed
memory.
the alligators. It's pretty fun.
Well, what?
His
Meat.
fingers.
It's red meat, so it's mostly nutria and beef.
Nice. You're killing two birds with one stone. You're feeding the gators and you're killing those invasive species. Invasive species. Anyway, you got any questions, Sam? About the zoo?
You covered the least and most favorite animals.
Alright, well, let's
What are the difficulties of your job? Any?
I deal with immense amounts of animal crap. Like, so much. I clean up each week when I go to work. I work on Saturday mornings. Each week when I go to work in the morning, the first thing I do is scrub all the algae off the inside of the fish glass, and then all the fingerprints off the outside, and then I go scrape up fox poop, and then I go scrape up bobcat poop, and then I go scoop up, because you can't describe that as scraping, otter poop, which is all liquid, all of it. And there's all these little like carrot chunks in it, because they eat like a lot of carrots, and they don't digest carrots very well. So you get these little like, it looks like diced carrots, like if you were to filter it, and it's disgusting and it smells just awful.
Do you filter it and feed it back to them?
No. They eat mostly carrots and seafood, like some other vegetation too, but a lot of their diet is seafood.
Makes sense.
So most of their poop smells like seafood that's gone through an animal, which is not a fun smell.
I'd imagine.
Do elephants really like projectile defecate on people? Because I've seen people claim that like it physically.
If they're sick,
okay.
I mean, if they're not sick, they don't have diarrhea. It comes out in a. Have you ever seen a goat poop?
Yes.
So there's those little pellets, right?
Yeah.
Just scale that up.
Oh, okay.
So it's just these giant pellets, like the size of a softball or bigger. That just kind of drops out, and it's mostly undigested grass.
Gross.
So it's actually safe to eat.
I don't know about what about that bacteria.
No, they're herbivores. Most herbivores don't have digestive bacteria that can harm a human. In fact, a lot of herbivores will go around and eat their own poop because their digestive system is so poor that they miss most of the nutrients the first time around. And if it's already half digested, they can get it back. That's why camels and llamas and things like that vomit so much. They'll regurgitate and then eat it again. Because if it's already half digested, it's easier to get the nutrients out.
They need some more evolution.
We're doing that for a dare video.
That sounds like a really poor existence. I don't know. Just constantly vomiting and eating it back up. Ugh.
Humans need that peak level of efficiency out of their food.
We're missing so many nutrients. I mean, we have to miss something. Dogs do it too. That's why dogs eat cat poop.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of it's because cat food, like commercial cat food, has a lot more sugar in it than dog food does.
Wow.
So even cat poop tastes sweet compared to dog food. Because cats are carnivores, not omnivores. Felines are generally carnivores. They're one of the only mammal carnivores. Dogs are questionable as to whether they're carnivores or omnivores. You can feed it, like dogs will eat grass, but mostly just as roughage. Cats will also eat grass as roughage, but they don't like digest it or get any nutrients from it. But like bears eat a lot of plant, like a lot more plant food than meat.
Have you ever seen a bear in the wild?
In the wild?
Yeah.
No. I've seen bobcats, mountain lions.
That's really cool. Like, do you often go hiking? Like, there's not really many mountains here, but just hiking in the wild?
Not so much since I moved to Louisiana, but I used to a lot.
Back in Oregon, that has to be a beautiful place to hike.
Yeah.
I have to ask a question. Why would you move to Louisiana out of all places? It's like not
because my parents were moving to Louisiana.
All right.
I guess I could have chosen to stay, but it would have been kind of tough.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, why would they? Like, they had a job opportunity or something, or family?
So I didn't grow up in Portland. I grew up about 5 hours away from Portland, about 25-30 minutes away from the California border. in a town called White City. And the nearest town to that was Central Point, and the nearest town to that was Medford. And Medford was like the landmark town. Like if you went somewhere else in Oregon, you say, "Oh, I'm from around Medford," and they'd know what you were talking about. And if you tell somebody else that, they're like, "Where's that?" Anyone who hasn't been to Oregon for at least 3 years has no idea where Medford is, unless they stopped at the airport. But like our airport has 3 gates. I'm not exaggerating. That's how many it has. So there's not a whole lot of things to do in Southern Oregon other than hiking and camping. That was most of what we did. And then eventually you run out of new stuff to do. So
probably with most places too. So.
Yeah, well, not so much in New Orleans.
True.
There's always. I mean, we've been here 4 years now, and we've done like almost nothing compared to how much there is. There's just so many things to do.
You going to the Voodoo Festival?
Probably not.
Well, I think I might be able to get some free tickets. So if y'all want to, I'll give it to you. Maybe if I get them. But I know I don't want to go. Well, let's talk about.
Give them out to our fans.
I don't know about that.
Do a sweepstake.
We
How
got
many fans do you have?
Don't tell them. It's not very many. Stop
16 subscribers.
Alright.
Well, the G and G.T.O is not gay. It's not gender. It's games. So we're gonna talk about games a little bit.
Alright.
So how extensive is your history with video games?
I own an Xbox, the original Xbox.
Good, solid console.
I own a GameCube, and I own a PlayStation 2. So that should give you an idea.
That whole console generation.
How extensive my gaming life is.
It's very current. I mean, that's okay. Do you still play those consoles today?
I play the GameCube more often than anything else. The PlayStation 2 overheats because PlayStation 2 is just not a great console design. They're so thick that
they had that slimmer ones as it went on.
Cool very well.
Well, I mean, it was originally meant to be like a DVD player that happened to play games at first. So.
No, it was a gaming console that happened to play DVDs.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's the other way around, but people bought it because of a DVD. Yeah, I remember. You got it. Anyways.
Of course I got it.
All right. After studying gaming history.
Yeah.
Is that a class? It seemed like you have all the cool classes at your little school that you have.
Not just game design next semester.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your favorite game?
My sister actually recently got an Xbox 360 that she keeps in her room, and occasionally I'll go in there and play. We started playing Modern Warfare 3, but we don't play the campaign because I'm really bad at it, and we don't play online because I don't have an Xbox Live account. We just play split screen, just the two of us hunting each other on different maps. And I'm pretty good at that. I'm just not good at the actual gameplay, like the campaign, because there's so many bad guys all at once. You're supposed to like lag back and kill them like slowly, one at a time. And I'm just more of a run in there and just stab them in the face until they're all dead kind of gamer.
Does not work that way.
Right.
Too often.
Halo does. I'm good at Halo. But yeah, the actual like games with a real story, I'm just awful.
Alright. Well, I saw you had Pokemon Go on your phone. Are you still playing that?
Yeah, I do still play Pokemon Go. I have almost 300 Magikarp candies, and it's very upsetting that I can't get the other 100.
What level are you?
20.
20? Well, that's good. I kind of stopped playing because I just felt no incentive to play. I feel like I was keep running on a treadmill with no ending. Well, I guess that's redundant. I'm keep running on a treadmill. So you're enjoying it, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
When do you get to play?
Mostly on my way to school, and then on my way home. That's pretty much it.
I tried doing that, but it's like in the East, there's barely any Pokestops.
That and whenever, like on Saturdays, when I get to the zoo, I have to sign in on the computer at the front of the zoo, and then walk all the way to the back of the zoo where my actual shift is, and that's like a 12-minute walk for me. And most people it takes longer, but I've been there so long, I figured out the exact shortest way, so I can catch a lot of Magikarp that way, because there's a lot of Magikarp inside the zoo for some reason.
So when you're dealing with these animals, do you think of them in concepts as Pokemon? Because I think of every animal as a Pokemon. So you're dealing with alligators and a sea otter, and like that seal or whatever. So do you think about it like that?
No.
I think you should.
Got a life, man.
It enriches your life because you're like, I'm playing in a real video game. Maybe I'm just a nerd.
Yeah. I mean, they don't like evolve into new animals like in a matter of days or anything like Pokemon.
If you love them hard enough, Aries. If you love them hard
I don't
enough.
think that's how that works.
Not really.
I swear.
And you can't fight them like you can in Pokemon because that's animal cruelty and that's illegal.
Well, it's only illegal if you get caught.
No, it's still illegal.
It's illegal either way. You just only get in trouble if you get caught.
Oh, that's a fact.
Then don't get caught.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't have any more questions, but you want to talk about anything else? I don't really have anything else left. So, are we done here?
Are we done here?
Well, Aries, this is a place where you could say something like a message that you want everyone to hear. So, you want to leave us with a lasting message?
Nah, I'm good.
Nah, I'm good. So you take that with you throughout your day, and just remember, nah, I'm good. So that's been the G.T.O podcast. I hope you enjoyed it, and like and show your appreciation and stuff. And might give you a ticket to something.
Like, comment, subscribe.
I don't do that. Definitely do not do that. But we're out of here.